Francis Marion Crawford once said, "To expect defeat is 9/10 of defeat itself." Welcome to McBain moments. So, drill down into that. To expect defeat is 9/10 of defeat itself. How can expecting defeat create defeat? Well, when you expect to lose, it creates a mindset inside of your brain. That mindset tells you to have low expectations on yourself, low expectations on the endeavor you're on. Why put the effort forth? We're going to lose anyway. And so, with that expectation, that preconceived notion, you're in that frame of mind that says it's not worth putting as much effort forth as I could. And so you really do defeat yourself before you even put the effort forth. One of the ways to overcome that is to recognize the fact that it's happening. And that's probably the hardest part of overcoming that mindset. I think it probably took me 2 years to figure that out. When you go into something and it's like, well, I'm not really good at this, and I don't know what I'm doing, and it's probably not going to be better for me anyway, so why bother? And you just kind of plod through, and when you fail, you're like, yep, I was right, and you validate yourself because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So instead what you need to do is when you recognize the fact that you're saying this probably isn't going to work out, stop and go, okay, wait a second. Why don't I think this is going to work out? Why am I going into this if I think it's not worth it? And if I think it's worth it, or if I really want it, what is it inside of me that's telling me that it's not going to work out? And in most cases, it's psychological, right? So you've got anxiety, you've got fear, you've got self-image issues. You know, I'm not worth it. I haven't earned this. I am not worthy. And so the first thing I want you to do, and I'm hoping I'm getting the translation right because I saw this in a movie. Not gonna lie, saw this in a movie. When you're feeling unworthy, go to a private space if possible and say very loudly, Axios, which was a Greek term meaning I am worthy. I pulled that out of Halo, the Fall. I think it was the Fall of Reach. I think it was the Fall of Reach. It was the live action movie. Very good, by the way. I highly recommend it. So Axios, I am worthy. Okay, now go back. Why do I think this might fail? Write it down. Get all of those pieces out. Write them down, saying, okay, here are the things that can go wrong. What can I do to safeguard against each of these individual things? And there are going to be things you can't safeguard against. That's normal. But what you do is you look at the things that can go wrong, and you say, okay, what can I do to mitigate as many of these items as possible? Okay, now what benefits will I accrue by completing this task, or at least putting the effort forth? Okay, if I fail, is it something I can continue to try towards, or strive towards? Yes or no? Every time I fail, if it is something you can, you keep putting effort forth and you try towards it, and you might fail 6, 7, 10, 20 times. Write down what the cause of failure was every time, and then write down a way to counteract that failure. And it might take 2, 3, 4 times for you to figure out what that causal factor was. But as you go, you're going to discover, oh, hey, I figured out what's going on. So in order to prevent that from happening again, I need to do this. Maybe I need to practice moving in a certain way. Maybe I need to practice talking in a certain way. Maybe I need to practice dealing with a certain item on this list to make the whole thing work. And so that's what you do. You go in and you deal with those factors, and you mitigate the negatives, and you continue to build upon the positives until you have your result. And it could take years. Sometimes that's the nature of life. And for some of us, and here's the keynote of the whole thing. You can't be in competition with other people over a goal. Let's say your goal is to ace calculus. You decide, I'm going to take calculus as many times as I have to in order to get an A. The guy next to you or the girl next to you might get A's on the first try, and you might get a D. And then you go back and you do it again, and you get a C minus. But the person to the left this time gets an A. It doesn't matter where they are on their journey. It matters where you are on your journey. Jordan Peterson once, and I think it's actually one of his rules for life, it's compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. You can't go through life comparing yourself to other people. That's not who you're competing against. That's not who you're competing against. This isn't a race. It's a marathon. And what I mean by that is a race is usually short term, right? I mean, you get things like the Daytona 500 and everything where you're going around in circles 500 times. That's not what I mean. It's the goal is to make it to the end. You're not competing against anyone but yourself. It's an endurance test. And so what you do is, okay, did I improve one thing? Yes. Even if I lost, did I improve one thing? Yes. Okay. When I go to do it again, I'm going to improve one more thing. And you get that positive mindset. You get rid of the expectation of defeat. Because now you're thinking in terms of victory. I was victorious in overcoming one obstacle. Now I can move on to defeat the next obstacle. In fencing, we have a phrase, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Sometimes you got to move slowly so that you can iron out all the wrinkles. And suddenly you realize you're fast. This has been a McBain moment.